What if you don't enjoy drinking alcohol? What else is out there to give you that social buzz, the reduction in anxiety, and to make you feel calm and collected in social settings? Well, in this video, what I'm going to do is look at the benefits associated with Kava, and we'll take a deep dive into some of its historical uses, its major applications, its mechanisms of action, and a whole lot more. So if you enjoy these videos, please hit subscribe down below and like this video, as it does help with the YouTube algorithm. So what is Kava? Well, Kava's Latin name is Piper methysticum, or better known as Kava or Kava kava, which is a very interesting plant that is found growing throughout Oceania on islands such as Papua New Guinea, Fiji, Tonga, Vanuatu, Samoa, and the Solomon Islands. Now, Kava even grows in Hawaii, but does not appear to be endemic to the islands, and was likely brought over by ancient explorers from Oceania. Now, interestingly, Kava is a root that's native to the South Pacific. Now, islanders have actually used Kava for generations to boost mood, relieve anxiety, enhance mental focus, improve sleep, and a whole lot more associated with major psychoactive properties and potential. So interestingly, Kava is rich in kava lactones, which are the active compounds that change your brain chemistry. Now, these kava lactones gently enhance the brain pathways that govern sleep, mood, relaxation, and a whole lot more. But what I really want to ensure that we understand here is that with some of these herbs that I discuss on this channel, there are many different active constituents that are actually found within these herbs. And so whilst most of the research has been on, these specific kava lactones, there may be some other molecules that are present within kava that potentially have some alternative pathway or some alternative way to alter our mental state. So for example, there may be compounds that act as GABA B agonists, or they may affect serotonin release or serotonin receptors. So this is really critical to understand. Looking at the pharmacological activities of this particular root, number one, it's known to possess local anesthesia properties, so it can actually reduce pain. Next, we can see that it reduces anxiety, so acting as an anxiolytic. It has anticonvulsant properties, so it can reduce the likelihood of seizures. It has antipsychotic properties, antidepressant properties, anti-stress properties, neuroprotective and or reducing neuroinflammation, and it's also known as a sedative. So we'll go into some of the other mechanisms of action, and so you can learn more about what Kava is doing to your body. Now, interestingly, there are many different preparations for Kava. We can see here a powder of Kava roots. We can see the actual root, so there are different preparations, and also a commercial dietary supplement of Kava. So we can see that it's also used in capsule form. But from a traditional perspective, we can see that it was actually used as a paste. We can see that that was one of the traditional preparations for Kava. Now, you're probably wondering, how does Kava actually work? Well, taking a look at some of the mechanisms of action, number one, it has GABA membrane modulatory properties, so it can significantly affect GABA neurotransmission in the brain. It has weak GABA binding. It helps to block voltage-gated channels. It has the ability to downregulate beta-adrenergic receptors, and it also may inhibit or degrade MAO-B, which is one of the major monoamines which can lower dopamine. So by inhibiting this, it may be able to raise dopamine levels. Here we can see the further summary on how Kava can inhibit MAO-B. We can see that an in vivo assay, we saw that with Kava being administered, that it was able to inhibit MAO-B in the cortex and substantia nigra, and this increased the number of entries into the open arm, which is usually a measure of exploratory behavior and or the ability to modulate dopamine and also have an antidepressant effect. Further to this, we can see other mechanisms of action, so modulating calcium and sodium channels, so it can actually help to act as a mild calcium channel blocker. We can see that it can affect voltage-dependent sodium channels. It also possesses neuronal dopamine reuptake properties. It reduces neuronal reuptake of noradrenaline. It enhanced the ligand binding of the GABA-A receptors. It enhanced regulation of the GABAergic neurotransmission, and it has reversible platelet MAO-B inhibitory properties. So one of the major uses for Kava is its anti-anxiety effect, and we can see that unlike benzodiazepines, these Kava lactones do not bind directly to the GABA receptors and hence do not cause GABA-A receptor downregulation. So they actually appear to activate these GABAergic receptors by modulating the GABA channels and increase the number of endogenous GABA to bind to these GABA binding sites. This study here was titled Kavain, the major constituent of the anxiolytic kava extract, potentiates GABA-A receptors, functional characteristics, and molecular mechanism. So this is really important to note that kava does not result in severe GABA-A receptor downregulation like we would see with potent anti-anxiety drugs like benzodiazepines and also alcohol. So this is a major advantage and benefit compared to alcohol. Now, really interesting is the potential for kava to possess reverse tolerance properties. Now, some people can take a sip of kava and notice the calming effects immediately, whilst others don't notice a change days or even weeks after regular consumption. So it's really important to note that there's a big difference in the individual response to kava. Now, interestingly, for those who experience this kava reverse tolerance, it's as if the body has rejected the substance from the very start, and the effects aren't adverse, they just aren't there until a delayed effect. So interestingly, what we've seen is that for some people with increased usage of kava, they actually get a stronger effect over time. And in fact, this can lead to needing to use less and less kava to achieve the same anxiolytic or sedative effect, which I think is a really interesting phenomenon, that there are substances out there that have this reverse tolerance property or this reverse tolerance effect. So from a subjective response, the key effects are reduced pain, reduces anxiety, and also promotes better sleep. Now, approximately 20 minutes after drinking kava, most people feel their muscles relax, so they get a physical relaxation effect, and stress seems to melt away. Sometimes people actually feel euphoric, maybe 30 to 60 minutes after dosing. However, they don't have an out-of-body experience, or they don't actually have any altered sense of reality, as some people do with other potent psychoactive drugs. Now, as I mentioned before, these kava lactones do affect our neurotransmitters, and for example, the des-methoxyangionin, it's a difficult one to pronounce, the des-methoxyangionin, one of the major kava lactones, is responsible for the euphoric feeling we have after drinking kava. This des-methoxyangionin boosts dopamine levels, but it doesn't alter the central nervous system. So we feel a calm and euphoric effect, which is very much noticed by a number of people that have used kava. Now, I'd love to get your feedback, guys. Have you ever used kava extract? If you have, please drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your subjective response to kava extract. Looking at some of the potential side effects though associated with kava, number one is obviously sleepiness or drowsiness, so you can get a sedative effect. Some people notice decreases in strength. Some people notice reduced motivation, probably due to the potent GABA agonism or GABA raising properties. Some people also notice low blood pressure as well. Now, data from numerous studies actually indicate that kava has the potential to cause herb-drug interactions via the inhibition of the CYP450 enzymes, which metabolize many pharmaceuticals. So if kava is co-ingested with other herbal remedies, prescription medications, or over-the-counter products that are metabolized by these CYP450 enzymes, then it can actually alter the concentration levels of these drugs in your body. So please be sure to consult with your healthcare professional before using kava with any other drugs or substances. Now, I will be linking a high quality kava extract down below in the video description. And as far as the typical dosages, between 300 to 500 milligrams of kava per serve has been used. And this is ideally before social events or when requiring anti-stress properties or anti-stress effects, or potentially even before bed. So be sure to check out the kava that's linked down below. It will be a very high quality kava extract that is standardized to a certain percentage of the kava lactones. So that's pretty much it from me today. If you enjoyed this video on kava, please like the video. It does help me with the YouTube algorithm. Drop a comment down below. Let's get a discussion going. Have you used kava extract yourself? What effects did you notice? Otherwise, that's it from me. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.